It's time to rest again, rebels, to let the day go, to let your mind wander into a magical world of antelopes and fig trees and stories told around a warm, crackling fire. Tonight, we're going to hear the tale of a girl who had a story that inspired her to change the world. She went on to become an activist, defying expectations and working to replenish the earth and her community. Her name was Wangari Maathai. Before we get started, let's get settled in. Snuggle down, close your eyes, and begin to imagine. Let your mind go on a bedtime journey. In the lush, green, rolling mountains of central Kenya, in the shadow of the towering, rocky peak of Mount Kenya, in a village called Ihite, lived a girl named Wangari. Wangari loved her village and spent her days playing with her brothers and sisters, basking in the waters of a cool stream under the shade of a fig tree, and singing songs with her mother in their garden. But her favorite part of the day was when the sun started climbing down from the sky into the starry night. Her family would gather around the fire, cook their dinner, and tell stories. One of those stories would inspire Wangari to change the world. Did you know stories have the power to do that? Have you ever heard a story you really loved? Maybe one that stayed with you. Have you ever wondered where stories come from, or how many people have heard the same words? Stories are like invisible threads that connect us to one another. They can inspire us to do wonderful things. Tonight, we're going to join Wangari and her family around the warm, cozy fire and hear the story that inspired Wangari. Wangari watches as the sun sets over the luscious, tall trees and rooftops of the village. She watches the sky turn orange and pink and purple behind the majestic Mount Kenya. Her mother had taught her that God lived on the mountain, and tonight it shined gold, glittering and strong. she hears her sister call to her, "Wangari, can you help me roast this corn?" Wangari loves roasting freshly picked corn and sweet potatoes, so she turns her gaze from the mountain to the bright flame and joins her family around the fire. Each night, Wangari's family gathers to cook and eat dinner together. They talk about their day and slowly get ready for the night to come. And the best part is when her mother tells stories. Wangari's mother is an incredible storyteller. She's the kindest person for miles, and her voice is rich with love. When she speaks, Wangari feels safe and cozy, like her mother's words are wrapping around her in a blanket, tucking her in for bed. "Tell us a story, Maitu," Wangari says. "Okay, my dear. Gather around," her mother answers. She takes a deep breath and smiles as she begins. This is the story she tells. A long time ago, years and years before I was born, there was a raging fire in a forest. Not in our forest, but a forest very much like ours and very close by. You see our little fire tonight? This forest fire seemed to be 1,000,000 times larger, taller than the tallest giraffes. And you see how our cooking fire tonight is hungry for our firewood? This fire was so hungry it wanted to eat everything it could see. Trees, flowers, grasses. It couldn't get enough. Luckily, all of the animals had run out of the forest safe and sound. They gathered together on the highest hill they could find. Who was there? Let's see. The elephants with their long grey trunks, the leopards with all their spots, the antelopes with their long carved horns, the lions with all their lion cubs, and all of the other animals who lived in the forest. The animals were speechless, just standing there as their home burned to the ground. The lion cubs were holding on to their mamas, and the elephants dropped their flapping ears in sadness. They could barely watch as the fire just kept going. Finally, out of the animal crowd, a little voice called out. It was Hummingbird, and she said, "We have to do something." "What can we do?" said Leopard. "How can we possibly compare to the strength of this fire?" But Hummingbird couldn't wait to explain. She knew even a little bird like her had to help save their home. In a flash, she flew faster than she ever had in her life to a little stream and gulped up as much water as she could hold in her mouth. Her cheeks were bulging out wide, trying not to waste even a drop, but she stayed focused and flew over the fire, spraying water as she went. And then again, she returned to the stream, filled her mouth even more this time, and once more flew over the fire, spraying out water to quench the flames. She went back and forth so many times she lost track. She had to keep going. And as she flew, she grew stronger and more determined. Elephant, even though he could have held so much more water in his trunk, did not move to help. And Leopard, who could run faster than any animal, didn't move to help either. Finally, Antelope called out to Hummingbird and said, "What are you doing?" Hummingbird, still flying through the air, said, "I am doing the best I can. I am doing the best I can." As Wangari's mother finishes her story, Wangari thinks for a moment about what she would do if she were an animal in this story. It's strange, she thinks. Her own name, Wangari, means belonging to the leopard. But as she listens to her mother's soft, wise voice, she can't help but feel she has more in common with Hummingbird. She loves her home with her whole heart, and like Hummingbird, she will always do the best she can to keep it safe. As her family's small fire burns low, she looks up at Mount Kenya and feels a wave of calm wash over her. The sun has fully set now, but a faint glimmer of light still shines around the mountain like a promise. As Wangari grew up, she became brave and bold like Hummingbird. Many years after she heard the story, her own forest was in danger. It was cut down. And just like Hummingbird, who brought water, mouthful by mouthful, she planted back those trees one by one until she and others had planted an entire forest. She had become the hero of her own story, one that other children listen to as they sit around their own fires looking up at Mount Kenya. The story Wangari's mother told her around the fire as a child stuck with her through her entire life, serving as a constant reminder that one small person can make a big difference and even save a forest. That's the magic of stories. They have the power to change the way we live, act, and treat one another. Let's turn off the light, if you haven't already, and listen to the fire burning low, crackling and providing a cozy warmth. As the fire dims and the flames become tiny, glowing orange embers, the sounds of the nearby forest come to life. The wind rustling through the trees, the nearby stream bubbling and bubbling, the stars shining overhead, the birds and the crickets chirping, all combine, making a sweet song that lulls you to rest.
This podcast is a production of Rebel Girls. It's based on the book series Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. This story was produced by Katie Sprenger, with sound design and mixing by Mumble Media and Elettra Bargiacchi. It was written by Annalisa Merelli. Fact-checking by Joe Rhatigan. Narration by Melinda French Gates. Thank you to the whole Rebel Girls team who make this podcast possible. Stay Rebel.